Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Shuffle Bus. I'm Jesse. You've seen me plenty of times before if you follow our channel. If you're new to the channel, welcome. We're here to talk about AIL week number 7, the last qualifier round of the Swiss. And this is a play-in match for me. This match has a ton of implications because if I win, there's a very good chance that I am a top 4 player and I get to have a first round bye. If I lose, I my fate to make a top cut in the AIL, make one of the top 12 spots, is in the balance. So a lot on the line here. I'm playing against Carl Diaz, who is one of the better Ashes players in the community for sure. And Carl is not going to be a pushover opponent, and he's playing for the same sort of stakes, not necessarily a cut, because Carl has played 7 Phoenixborns, whereas up to this point I've only played 3. I look at how the tiebreakers are going to work with another player that would be sort of on the bubble if they're winning, and I need to play another Phoenixborn to have the tiebreaker on the Phoenixborn side, and if that player plays another Phoenixborn, then we tie on the tiebreaker on Phoenixborn, and so then we go to strength of schedule. Knowing that I've played Carl and knowing that I've played Matt, I feel really confident that my strength of schedule would be stronger than that opponent's and still get me into the tournament. So that was sort of my plan going in, is sort of working out like how I would fall if I don't win this game. Obviously, I want to be confident that I will win this game, but it's very difficult to know for sure. Again, Carl's an excellent player. I have no idea what he's going to bring. If he's trying to metagame me for Herald, that could be a problem if I was playing Herald. So in this particular matchup, I go ahead and play an Odette list, and I'm probably not going to showcase this Odette list on the channel. I'm just not that. I don't think it's where it wants to be yet. There's probably some better Odette lists out there, and Neil was doing some things with Emperor Lion and Summon Winged Lioness with Herald that I think Odette can equally do, and Odette might just be better for it overall. But anyways, let's go ahead and jump into this tournament match. I will do my standard voiceover commentary throughout, and we will, we'll break down the game. So, thank you so much for being here. We'll see you in the game. Here we go. So we're getting ready to fire up, and we're going to do our first 5s. And so one of the things I'm looking at in his list is Noah's got a big battlefield. Wolves can flood a battlefield pretty big, and the deck here doesn't have a ton of sweeping statuses. It does have Meteor, which is good. So Ancestor Spirit and Lightbringer are just smaller units that I can play with consistency, and then I can force more inopportune attacks with the Lightbringer. And then if he brings wolves, like Lightbringer could still step in front of a wolf and block it. So that's sort of where I'm thinking. But again, big allies as a whole are not very well positioned. Like the deck probably would benefit from a Salamander Monk as a book as well. But so I go ahead and play the Master Vampire, Holy Relics, Angelic Rescue, thinking I'll just protect the vampire from direct damage removal. Although there's not going to be a ton of direct damage removal when you look at these dice spreads. So it's kind of a wrong call on the Angelic Rescue. I regret it afterwards. I roll 1 basic. Carl goes ahead and makes up 3 basics, so I get choice, and I choose to go first. Carl and I talked about this decision post-match, and I didn't see it at the time, but I think in retrospect, knowing that Noah is probably going to be wide with 7 battlefield, it's very unlikely that he's going to be a tall Noah. You better off going second, because then they have a harder time if they're really wide and they get you at the end of the round. They don't have the ability to turn around and get you at the top of round 2. And so if I have the Meteor or something of that nature to sweep the board, like I can sweep the board before they would get their next big attack with wide units and take away a lot of their tempo in round 2. And I agree with that assessment after seeing all this. But I go ahead and make the Ancestor Spirit, and again, this is just putting a 2/1 unit onto the board. That's the idea behind it, and it allows me to draw a card. And I pull a Sword of Virtue. I have to put a card back. I still think Sword of Virtue is sort of dead if he's wide, but if he makes a big unit, Sword of Virtue is still good for that. So I decide here, I think if I remember correctly, I put the Angelic Rescue on the bottom. Yep. That's where I'm landing. Yep. All right, so I put Sword of Virtue back on the bottom. Or not Sword of Virtue, but Angelic Rescue. It's probably less alive in this matchup than other items. He plays a Shadow Spirit. So first one was a Mist Spirit, and the next one is a Shadow Spirit. So he's already got 2 units that he can spend 3 dice, make 3 units, and that definitely is playing big into the strategy of going deep. So going wide, and so far no wolves. So like I'm starting to think, okay, well if wolf comes, like he's really on this plan of like making as many units as possible round 1, and he's going to beat me there. I should have probably held the Ancestor Spirit and made him remove the Ancestor Spirit instead of being aggressive with it for 2 damage. That's also potentially a play mistake here early on, especially knowing he's going to make 2 1/1s. And all I can do here is take 2 damage if he decides to attack. Now, I go ahead and stand a vampire up here. I'm going to try to force his removal out early if he's got removal. Yeah, we drop the ceremonial, we play the master vampire, and we say go. So we at least stand up a body. And I can't remember what that was that he played there. I Holy Relic the vampire. Make it a 5/6. At least this way, it's going to take a lot of units to kill the vampire if he's just going to try to do unit into vampire after vampire exhausts. That's sort of the thought process. So he's going to force the vampire to attack with the Lightbringer. Okay. So oh, can't do that.
You have to attack.
Yep. So the vampire gets blocked by the Lightbringer.
Wait, what's up?
Just tell Carl that my life drain would trigger, but because I have full health, I can't go any higher than where I'm currently at. That's just the power of Lightbringer. Like, again, I think as it holds, he's going to make 3 units here. And he's going to be presenting 4 attack into my board. But I traded 5 here, so I feel fairly good about that. And we refresh the vampire. I don't mind the vampire refresh just in case we get something else on the board here that I want to stock away. So he's got a whole bunch of dice. He says he forgot to meditate. I'm not sure what the meditation would have gone for exactly, but guess just to be able to side action gates and play something. Most likely another Mist Spirit would be my guess. Okay. So
yeah, I'll play with him.
Okay, so he brings another Lightbringer to play. So we're going to stock the Shadow Spirit. Take 2 damage. Still have Odette ability on board. Gonna meditate. This is gonna allow him to play 2 spirits. So again, if I'd have just first 5 to Meteor here, like, I think I would have been in really good shape because I could have wiped the board before the attack. Unfortunately, my last card's a Lightbringer and not a Meteor.
Should you mind if I meditate one more?
So again, just a bad call. We have the Meteor in deck. We should plan on it, especially if we're going to go first. I think we can plan on it because he wants to build a battlefield that's going to make a difference, and then yep. So we drop the Lightbringer, which is only going to just give us a body.
I'll lock it up.
Okay, so he locks out the Lightbringer.
Oh no, I don't. Yeah, might not be able to do that. I mean, yeah, not meditating really. Okay, I'm gonna have to do this.
Drops the Immortal Commander.
And I'll just attack this. All right, yeah.
Okay, so we knew he was going to attack anyways because he's going to side. He's going to side the commander, and then he's going to attack for like 2, 4, 6, 8 damage here, and I'm going to block two of it and take 6. So again, just probably got a little over aggressive round 1 in the sense that we had an opportunity to really put this deck off, and if we'd have first 5 the Meteor, again, that last card just being Meteor, wipes his board clean, and I still have a Vampire on full health going into the top of round 2, and he's got he's not, doesn't have a lot of choices there.
I'll swing for 8.
So we Odette Commander, put 2 damage on it.
Similar. I'll pass. Yeah.
Okay, so right now, like, obviously, very difficult for me to take to go into this exchange with any really good. This is where if I had first instead of Carl, I would be in a better position because I could stock the Immortal Commander and wipe something. Seeds of Aggression, it's not super great. River Skull, it's a really good body here to stop the Immortal Commander. Like, we can get Skulls out, but we can't play both Skulls in one turn because of the way it works. So Carl chooses not to attack here and decides to force my Vampire to attack with Lightbringer. Okay. So what we're going to do is use Vampire to stalk the commander, because that just takes away a ton of power in the deck. I'm really liking Carl's deck and what it's doing. Like he's just got a ton of little units on the board, but he's getting value out of the commander. And again, this goes back to like.
Oh no. Oh yeah. Oh, oh yeah.
So he forgets about the stock ability. So we kill the commander. I don't know if he decides he didn't want to cast the Shadow Guard then at that point. I still think he would be best to cast Shadow Guard, because then he can just attack for 3, 4, 5, 6. 3, 4, 5, 6. He can attack for 9 with Shadow Guard exhausted. Like, I still think he probably should have played the Shadow Guard there, but I know he has the Shadow Guard. I think he just got the stock threw him off. Decides to play the Widows instead. That technically gets him 1 more point of damage. So I'm just going to get clobbered yet again here by a really wide board. Okay.
Um.
So I have an opportunity to play another Master Vampire here.
Those. I didn't have a side action. No. Yeah, I'll attack with those. That's 1, 10. Is that 10? 9.
It ends up being 9 damage instead of 10.
Yeah, 9.
Go to 4.
And I'll play 2 shadows.
2 shadows the vampire away. That's pretty strong. Again, this is where just going second instead of first would have made a big difference in this game. But I play a River Skull, draw a card. I can't play second Scald, so I should pitch the Scald. I don't need to do 2 damage or anything. But we can effectively get rid of the Lightbringer that's standing in our way. Yeah, I think the correct play here is the Scald, the other Scald, because I can't play it, and everything else is still playable in the hand right now. Although the Master Vampire, I can still play the Master Vampire too. So
It's a 2-1. It reduces it. Well, I played.
I think we just shoot the Scald to kill something, but maybe that's just, again, at the end of the day, the wrong play. It's tricky because without Meteor here, like, even if he drops a Meteor, he's just going to be able to play 3 more units, plus the 3 cards in hand, which we know one of those is a Shadow Guard. Both of those put really extraordinary pressure on the deck. So again, it just first 5ing Meteor to clear top of round would have saved 9 damage, and I think the game is drastically different. Obviously, I don't know who comes out on top at that point, but we clear the battlefield of the 1 blocker for now. Yep, so we drop Light Swordsman just to put another body on the field. Okay, so he calls. Again, I still think we should have dropped the Scald. But we'll go ahead and drop Master Vampire.
That's not what I wanted to hit.
So we hit the meteor. That's really bad. There's only 2 meteors in the deck. So what I'm looking for right now is whether or not he's going to know the book, the Lightbringer book. And if so, then, from that perspective, I should. Otherwise, next turn, I should play Lightbringer just to get another body on the field. But yeah, we're going to get a Noah book on the Lightbringer because I can't play the Ancestor Spirit now.
No pass.
Okay. So I think I'm trying to get value out of the vampire. Like if I can do 6 with the vampire, I'm showing like right now if I just attack outright, I can go 3, 5, 7, take him to 6, and then I can Sword of Virtue back the vampire as a defender if he plays another unit. And so I've got 4, 6, 8. And I think I just played too conservatively here. 8 would take him to 5. It would force him to go ahead and play a unit into this battlefield, which would then allow me to play the Sword of Virtue for value. He's going to go ahead and play a Shadow Spirit instead. And again, I could have just played Vampire and then stocked the Shadow Spirit to gain a point of life after the Sword of Virtue play. So I think that really, end of the day, this was sort of the nail in the coffin because I could have pushed additional damage down to get him down to 5, and then through that 5 damage, I mean, it's hard to see how you get past it without Meteor, and with only 1 Meteor left in the deck, we're pretty much not getting Meteor. Because if there was a Meteor here at the top of round 3, I think I take enough tempo away that I can then like play Scald and other allies and sort of get my battlefield back in shape where I can start sniping away the units he does play and eventually get through for the win. It's going to be difficult no matter what, for sure. And the deck is not well positioned against a super wide board like this other than Meteor. So, again, knowing those things, I think that if I could have been playing things like Emperor Lion to play some laws, or even like another stock unit like the Winged Lioness, just allows me to snipe the boards down slowly over time. And I like multiple copies of Wing Book because you can get a couple of units out. So end of the day, this was just one of those things that the deck was just not well positioned to fight against something like this. It's going to be really hard for me, even going first at the top of 3. So see, I have a real difficult time here because if I take the swordsman into the spirit and he just defends with Noah, then he can trade the shadow spirit for the swordsman, or excuse me, for the scald, and that loses me a body on the board that I need to have. So we just have to see if he's going to make that decision. So I go ahead and attack with the swordsman, kill the shadow spirit if he doesn't block. He chooses not to. Actually, the swordsman is going to live. We catch that here because of the quick strike on the swordsman. So, and I appreciate Brian catching that. Yep, but again, at this point, I have to Sword of Virtue and, go ahead and bring the vampire back up. And then we'll see what he plays here. I think he plays a Mist Spirit. I think the best play for us is to take Scald into Spirit. Yep. And he'll tank that, so he goes to 7. So again, knowing that board state, like I said, I think the best play was still to pressure down and take him to 5. And so then it's yeah. So we Odette the Mist Spirit to kill it. That opens the final 5 attack from the vampire, or 4 attack. So again, we're going to end 3-3 going into top of round 3, but the issue is he's got, he's still going to have 6 to 7 units on the battlefield depending on what he does. See, and I think that's a definite mistake. I should have just forced out whatever cards he had left in hand. I knew one of them was a Shadow Guard, and he didn't have the dice to play Shadow Guard. So, like, I'm just supposed to hit for 4 and take him to 3. So that was just a terrible misplay. Just again, this is just not knowing this deck, number one, and being so caught up in like, how do I deal with this wide board, and knowing that I was going to go first, thinking that I was going to, have a chance. But I ditched the Scald here, I think, if I remember right, because I don't have time for it, and I need to dig 5 cards to try to find the other meteor. So don't find the meteor, and that's a big deal. I think at this particular point, the best I can do is I think I end up seedsing, which I think is the worst play overall. I think I need to play Grave Knight because he's going to attack me all out, and he's got 6 units. So if he attacks me all out with 6 units, I can only I take 2, so I don't die to that. But he has Divine, so that actually does make me die, and I don't think about that as I'm dealing it. So, if I law here, I potentially, yeah. See, this is what I've seen. So, I think the law, I have to take a unit away. I have to take, and by taking a unit away, he can't. He attacks for 5. I take 2 with the. Yeah, I don't think there's no out here because of the divine power dice. So Drain Vitality would have been really good in this matchup. Well, it would have been better in this matchup. Not really good. It would just have been another removal tool that I could have had on board permanently. Yeah, and he just has to. He thinks he's a unit short, but he's not thinking about the divine power yet. I'm pretty sure he catches it. So as soon as he catches divine power on the unit, I think it's over at that point. He's still working through it, but this is a foregone conclusion. He knows this is the last round, so he's just aggressively meditating to get all his dice on certain sides. I'm guessing this is when he... I'm not remembering what he ended up doing here to win the game, because... oh, that's what it was. So he's looking for the sniper, because he's just going to take me to 1, and then next action. But he has the victory in hand right now. He just missed it. So, yeah. I mean, that happens, right? Like, it's easy to forget about that divine power, but I guess the only thing about the divine power issue is that
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I'm gonna be able to get.
Yeah. So the only issue with that is
Gone.
so because he can't know what unit I'm not going to block.
I was gathering.
So I guess that's still the best play, is to go to dig for that Stormwind Sniper, because now the next action is he wins the game off of just Ceremonial and then Stormwind Snipering me. And so, see, summoning Ancestor Spirit doesn't do me any good here. There's nothing to stop the last point of damage. I have to be able to heal somehow. And I think the Master Vampire only heals...
I don't know what you're shooting for. Oh, that one. Oh, like a while. No, I have 2 ways to win right now. I would go ahead and refer and win.
So Stormwind just finishes it.
Play the late bringer.
Yep. So this is where this Ancestor Spirit literally did nothing for me, so I should have played the Grave Knight. It's just a, but it wouldn't have mattered just because this was the out. It would have just taken away one of his win cons. So, yeah. So, anyways, great game from Carl. We'll see what my world looks like after all round 7s are in. But yep, that was a pretty good matchup. Just a couple of play mistakes. I think that would have put a lot more pressure on my opponent. And then, obviously, not first 5 in Meteor was a huge miss. So, appreciate everybody that watches the channel. If you enjoy this content, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button. Super important to us, and it helps us know that we're doing things that you're enjoying. So, thanks again. We'll see you soon in the next video.